So at the time of us uploading this video, gas is $3.19 a gallon right down the road from our place. And if you're anything like me, you can definitely feel that. We had a little experiment. We wanted to try an idea and do a tune-up on the car, change the spark plugs, and see if that helps us get a little better gas mileage, save a little bit of money. So stick around till the end and you'll see if this worked out. Hopefully, stay tuned. To give you some background about the car, it's a 03 Honda Accord V6 Coupe. It has the 6-speed manual transmission. And we took it to Florida about a year ago, and we're getting about 400 miles to a tank of gas, 17-gallon tank of gas. So, you know, it was pretty good, about 23 miles per gallon, and it hasn't changed much from there. I've done oil changes, air filter, we're here recently, and so the spark plugs is probably the last link. And I've noticed a couple times I've had some sputtering or a little bit of stalling on startup, and that can be associated with a few different factors, but I want to take a look at the plugs, take a look at the coils, make sure nothing's cracked, and we'll go from there. And if you have a 4-cylinder, it's much easier to get to the spark plugs. They're just right on top in line with each other. The V6 is going to be underneath this plastic cover. We've got 3, and then also on the back side we have 3 as well, and we'll be able to see how to get to those in just a second. But the first thing we're going to do is take this plastic cover off right here. It's held on by 2 plastic flathead screws. Be sure and take your oxygen sensor harness off. It's clipped in right here. So let's unclip that and turn these a 1/4 of a turn to the left. And this should come right off. Okay, so we have our coils here for this bank. First thing I'd like to do is go ahead and unplug the harness. So let's do that. There's a little tab there, push and pull it up. Okay. Now we've got some Allen wrench screws here holding those in. Let me get my socket, and for this it's and I don't know size. It's a 9. Just gonna break them loose. Okay. Now we pull our coils out. Let's take a look at this one. This one looks good. There's no cracks. If there were, you'd see them about right here. When they're cracked like that, they will arc and you'll have a misfire. This one's good. Check all the rest. That one looks good. All right, well, all 3 on the front look great. Now we're gonna take our plugs out. We have a 5/8 socket for the spark plugs. Break it loose. Oh yeah, wow, okay. This plug here, I mean, it looks like it's obviously pretty old. The ground strap on that, see how it's white? It looks like we have a lean condition on that cylinder, possibly. May have an injector that's not feeling right, but either way it goes, it needs to be replaced. So that's the first one down. All right, yeah, basically same. There's no telling how long, you know, they've been in there. I've had the car for a year, I haven't done them. Yeah, okay. We're using NGK Iridium plugs here. NGK is the OEM plug they put on these factory. I like to go with OEM, you get great results with that. To put it back in, we're gonna take the spark plug, stick it into that special socket there, and it'll hold it in. So be careful when you put this in. You don't wanna smash the end of it and close that gap or damage it. So we're gonna go ahead and drop it in slightly. All right, we'll go ahead and get it started. All right, it's started. Tighten it by hand until it gets tight. That right there feels pretty tight, and we're gonna go ahead and finish it off with this ratchet. Now when you're tightening these spark plugs, there's a crush washer on there, and you will feel the crush washer begin to crush. It'll feel tight, but it will keep turning. Keep going until you feel it get solid. When you feel it get solid, go just a hair more. That's all you need. I believe the factory specs are like 18 pounds. Don't quote me on that, I'll have to double check, but spark plugs changed out on the front bank of our engine. Now we're gonna move to the rear. It's not necessarily harder to do, it's just more difficult to get to. So allow yourself a little more time doing those. It is a little cramped back here. There's no plastic cover to take off like the front. It's just a lot tighter space. Okay, so there's one, and right there's the other. And they come off just the same. They have the same clips and the same size bolt holding them in. So let's get it. And just like before with this harness, we're gonna push the side, pull it up, pull the connector up, move it aside. 9 here for the hex. And it's gonna go right there. I'm not sure if you can see it very well, but right there in the where it needs to be. There we go. I broke it loose, so it should go out easy now. It's really the same process as the front. You're just up against the firewall of the car. It's a lot harder to get in there, the room. And just be extra careful not to drop your tools or your bolts back there, because that will ruin your day. All right. That'd be funny if I just dropped that, wouldn't it? Okay, we're gonna pull this one out. All right, and same as before, let's go ahead and take a look at it. It looks good, there's no cracks, nothing to be concerned about. These might be new coils, I'm not sure. But anyway, they look good, no issue there. So let's go ahead and take all of them out. I apologize, it is hard to see. You can see where I've got my socket there on that bolt. And same thing, we're gonna break it loose. And let's take a look at this one. Looks good so far, yep. All right. And this is a transverse mounted engine, which means it's mounted sideways, has a front wheel drive transmission. Most of your Hondas, if not, all modern Hondas are built that way. And the disadvantage of that with a V6 is you have to get on the back side of this engine. And a lot of, like Toyota, Nissan, you have to take off part of the intake manifold just to get to the rear bank spark plug. So that's one cool thing about Honda they were thinking with their engineers to make it easy. That one is looking good too, no cracks. Perfect, okay. All right, now let's get the spark plugs out the rear bank. Same process, we're gonna use the spark plug socket and get it in line with the hole like this. There we go. Almost there. Okay. I need to separate the extension from the socket to have the room to pull the socket out like this, with the spark plug on it. All right, let's take a look here. There's the first one pulled out. This spark plug here, same thing. It's old, ready to be replaced. Let's get a new one. All right, we got our new plug ready to go in. Go ahead and put it in the spark plug socket first. Felt to stop, so let's go a little more. That feels good right there. You don't want to overdo it. These are aluminum heads, you'll strip them out. You want to make sure they're tight, you just don't want to crank down on it. All right, so let's get that out. All right, now we're going to move down to this one, the middle one. A lot of this stuff you just kind of feel for. It's hard to just see, but I'm going to try to let you guys see what's going on here. Right there. All right, guys, we got our new spark plugs installed in the rear bank. Now we're going to follow it up, putting our coils back in. And it is going to turn sideways because our harness was plugging straight from the top. And we put our bolt back in. And now we're going to start our bolt by hand. And that is plenty tight. Okay, on to the next one here. And finally, our last coil. And there you have it. We've got the spark plugs changed in our cord. And you know, this is a good way to save money. You're saving gas, and you're also not polluting the environment because all of that unburnt fuel that was making it through is not going to be good. Anyway, we are going to drive this thing for a week. We're going to calculate the MPG. We're going to fast forward it to you in a week and check out these new results. It's day 3 and we put a few miles on it last night. Had to go to the store to get supplies because there's ice and sleet all over everything. Yeah, it didn't work today, but we will keep track of the mileage. Hey, good Friday morning, guys. I definitely burned more fuel than I really should have or needed to, but anyway, I'm on my way to work and it is a lot of ice out here. .5. I consider that a win, and I'll explain why now. Alright guys, well hey, that's a success to me, and here's why. Even though we only picked up about 10 miles to the tank, when we drove to Florida it was about 90% highway driving, so comparing that to the 2 or 3 snow days that we had, that's going to burn a lot more fuel. I call it a success. Like I said, we were getting about 23 miles per gallon before, and now on the app, and plus just the evidence of doing the math with the fuel burnt out of the tank, we're getting about 27. So picked up 3. In reality, maybe picked up a little more. A little bit of advice: you're gonna save more money in gas by letting off that right foot. Let's be honest. You gotta be honest sometimes. So anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around. We enjoyed it. See y'all on the next one.